Hey everybody! We're back to I don't even know, episode 7, I think, of the Hammers and Hustle podcast. We took about a month long hiatus, and we're just trying to get back into it. Summertime is obviously the busiest time for us in the PA insurance restoration industry. Unless we get a really cold freeze in the winter, then it gets real busy too. But usually wintertime tends to be a little bit more calm, and so you'll see a lot more of these conversations happening in the winter when people have more time to spend. But today I have my dear friend from Nashville, Tennessee. Unfortunately, he's an Alabama fan, but we'll forgive him for that. The CEO and owner operator of Paragon Roofing USA.com down there in Nashville. Welcome, Taylor Ammons.
Thank you, dude. I'm so glad that we are finally doing this. We've been flirting with the idea for months now, and so I'm really glad to be on. Thanks for having me, first off, and I'm just excited to have a conversation and see what kind of value we can provide to the community, man. That's the end goal, right?
Right, right. So the funny, I want to tell everybody how Taylor and I met. So I was working for Alina Wilson at the time I guess it's Estimate Mastery now.
Yeah.
And I was doing a level 1 and level 2 certification class. I think it was just you and Serge in that class, where there wasn't anybody
Yep.
else, was it? It was just the three of us.
Yep. Yeah. Just well, I think there were 5 or 6 people in the class going through, but then obviously Sergio and I as well. But yeah, I think there might have even been 8 or 10, because I remember I think there were a few people. It actually cracked me up because you would say something and then they would go in and do the complete opposite. You were just like, no. Oh man, it was because like it might have been like sketching a room or it was something, but then they're just like, no, don't stop moving your mouse. Like, what do you?
They're happy clickers, is what it's called. They just
Yes,
get click
that's what it
happy.
was.
And remember, we talked about it like right at the start. Don't click on something unless I tell you.
Yes,
And so they would get in there and they'd start doing what they think they were going to do, and it's like, no, you're going to screw it up even worse. Stop.
correct.
And then, of course, then we would reverse engineer it, and everything would turn out great. And they'd end up level 2 certified. I don't think I had one person fail that took the test for level
Yeah,
2. Now they've changed them.
really.
And yeah, they're different now, and I haven't figured out the secret to the sauce yet. So I'm still working on trying to work through the level 2 certification class.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on getting certified on those different estimate platforms? Like, hey, does Symbility even have an official certification yet?
No, they do not. Now, if you want to take a class on Symbility, I know Restoration AI, Mark Craney, he does
Yeah,
one.
he's a
I think
sharp
he has
guy.
one coming up. Shout out to Mark.
Good dude.
Dude, have you seen some of the stuff going on with him recently?
Yeah. And
Oh, like,
unfortunately, because
yeah.
I am very familiar with Mark. Haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but very familiar with Corey. And so it's definitely, I'm watching from the sidelines, and I just hope they get it all rectified, because I
Yeah.
haven't even done a whole bunch of looking into it. I try and not get too consumed into some of the
So
gossip.
I kind of dove
Hey,
into it because Mark and I, like, we're not to toot my own horn, but like him and I are kind of like the estimating gurus in that
toot it.
space, right? Like, it's if you want the best of the best, you look for Mark or myself. I mean, it is what it is. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good estimators out there, but it seems like the people that have the answer to the questions that no one else can answer, it's usually Mark or I. And so we kick stuff back and forth all the time. He'll tag me on one, I'll tag him on another, whatever the case may be. But yeah, and I'm not familiar with Corey at all or his company. But I guess Mark's son Andy was working for him at
Oh.
one point. And so there was a separation of employment
Hmm.
there recently. So there's a little bit of additional bad blood payment issue. Like,
Ah.
so there's all kinds of stuff going on with that. And I don't want to dive too deep into it, but yeah, I hope they.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I hope everybody gets it all figured out to everybody's satisfaction, and I hope
Yeah,
people do the right thing, right?
for
Like
sure.
that's
For sure.
especially in the industry, like, and you know this, like the one thing when I
Yeah, I've
worked
been burned. I've been burned
well,
as
yeah, we've all been burned, like, but the one thing you
if
want
you
is,
haven't been, you haven't been in the industry long enough because it's
I
coming.
know, right?
Or any industry.
But see, that's the difference that good roofing contractors, good restoration contractors in general, is if there's a problem, they fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I remember when I was with the company that I was with during COVID, it was a local, the official exterior partner of the Huskers is who they are.
Okay. Poor guys.
It, it's just because they pay a lot of money. That's it. They pay a lot.
Yeah.
They got the exclusive deal and they pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
I remember we put the wrong roof on a house.
Oh.
Just it got botched. The ball got dropped. The wrong product got dropped. Of course, the installers had no idea. They just went up and threw the roof on.
Yeah. Was it wrong color?
Wrong color. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't like it was a
Shingle
grade
roof
three,
that was supposed to be
like
metal.
grade 3 versus for a grade 5, or what the
Yeah.
grade 4 presidential or whatever.
Yeah.
Just wrong color. And so, of course, everybody's all up in arms, and the owner of the company's just like, well, it is what it is. Rip it off and put the right one on.
Yeah.
And so I really respected their company, because if something was wrong, they would go back out and fix it. They would make it a priority to do that. And so when you see other people in this industry and that's not the priority, it's like, just, it saves you so much in reputation just by going out there and taking the 2 hours to fix it, or taking the 4 hours to fix it, and just like doing it the right way, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. You know this, like, everybody's going to drop the ball here. You're going to have, your installer's going to have a bad day, and you're going to have a course that gets narrow, and you're like, now we got to rip off, a square and fix it or whatever. And you just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's one of those where, I think people have to actually go through those things and learn those lessons, but that's really where you find out the true character of somebody, because when things are going well and life's good, like, you're living and existing, but when that pressure starts to be applied and you have to make a decision, that's going to expose who you are. Mm-hmm. And so that's ultimately why we take such pride in the clients that we get to work with here in Nashville, because it truly is an experience for them, because people are always going to remember the massive hailstorm that led to them having to get their roof replaced, unless it's something that happens every few years, like in the Midwest or something. But in Middle Tennessee, yeah, we get some pretty severe weather, but these customers are going to remember their project, and if you botched it, they're going to remember it even more. But a homeowner may not necessarily leave you a bad review, but they're not going to refer you if you don't go through and do a bang up job on their project, or at least do what you said you were going to do when you were going to do it.
Yeah. So story right specifically to that. We had a hailstorm come through in 2019, and we filed a claim. The roof was obviously approved.
This was your personal house?
Personal house. Yep.
Okay.
Hired a company, friend of a friend recommendation, said they had a great experience. We're like, cool, let's call them up. I mean, I'm in the industry at this point. It's been 15 years in the industry. And come out, salesman says all the right things. It's like, cool, let's do it. They put the roof on, and so we live in a Tudor house. Are you familiar with those?
I don't know why that rings a bell.
They've got the real steep pitches. So the dormer that I'm sitting in actually goes down to the main level, but it's like a 16-12 or an 18-12 pitch.
That's good.
Well, steep. but the way that our house is structured, we have two sets of step flashing on the front.
Okay.
They never painted them. They didn't replace them, obviously, which is fine because it's going into brick. Is it the right thing to do? Not necessarily. Like, you should allot for that and take care of it. I didn't really care. They asked me if I
Yeah.
cared. I said, no, it's fine.
Well, at least
And
they
but
asked.
yeah, and but I said, hey, like, can you guys paint it, because it was painted brown and we went to a black shingle, and so it just looked weird, and so they didn't do that, and the chimney flashing. And if they would have painted those, I would have had nothing but good things to say. But those two little details that they didn't do. Now, granted, I'm in the industry, right? So I know what I'm looking at, and I look like, when you're in the industry, you drive down the street and you're looking at the roof, and your wife's like,
Right.
"Why? Hey, did you see that 3-tab?" And she's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Right? Like,
He's like, "Will you look at women
mine
like
does
a
that.
normal dude?"
It's like, no, we look different. Like, we look at houses differently. Like I know there's a house right down the street that got hit by a big tree, and I don't know what they're doing with it, but I'm like, oh, the whole porch needs to come off. Looks like it got into the structure.
You start scoping it in your head.
Yeah, you do, right? Oh, the porch looks to be about 10 feet wide, or 10 feet long by about 6 feet wide. Like, before I even walk in, I have an idea. And I think they're putting a big condo or apartment complex next to it, so they must have bought that property, and it's just sitting there. So, because it's been sitting like that since last summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our brains work differently.
Yeah,
So.
I completely get that. But I'm curious because there's some conversations that you and I have had, and so I'm glad that we can finally kind of bring them up on here. But into the supplement process, because I know you have mentioned to me that you feel like a lot of contractors in the summer should focus more on just taking advantage of the fact that it's busier, and then focus a little bit more on the tedious supplements in the winter time, because you have a little bit more time and you're not arguing over a whole bunch of BS. But I didn't know if with some of the changes that insurance companies have made, like what is your current position on like supplements and things like that, and when contractors should do those things, and kind of some guidance on how to be better at it?
Who's interviewing who here?
I was just so curious.
Well, we've talked about it a lot, right? So
Yep.
even through when we were doing level 1 and level 2, the training classes,
Yep.
we talked about it. So the thing of it is that I still believe that to be the case. However, and this is a big however, you have to have your process locked down. Meaning, you have to have your pre-production photos. You have to have your during production photos. That's the big one that a lot of contractors don't do. They snap 1 or 2 pictures of their installers installing the roof, and I think that's like during production. No, during production, you're doing the same thing. You're taking overview photos. You're taking photos of all of the flashings. You're taking photos of all the flashings that you replace before you put the roof back on, right? Along with any decking issues, any felt, like, for some reason, like, multiple layers of felt is now a thing. Like, that's coming up more and more often.
I've seen it a little bit more for sure. I mean, I don't personally get it a whole lot, but I've seen a ton of posts about it.
Maybe it's just the social media post darling of the groups right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as long as you have that all in place, and you have to have a minimum value, right? So, like, if you go to put this roof into production, you have to have a minimum value. So say your minimum square value is 500 a square.
Yeah.
No idea what your pricing is in your area. 500 seems about okay-ish.
Yeah, that's probably pretty close, I would say, for me to approve it for production. 550, something like that.
Yeah, so insurance-wise, you're probably looking, like, right now, depending on the area, I'm thinking 6.25 to 675 is a good number to be in insurance-wise. And that's all in. So that's labor, materials, everything. But as long as you're at your minimum value, so like 5 or 550, whatever your whatever your company sets as a value. Now, 5 years ago, you know what our number was? 350.
Wow.
5 years ago, it was
That's how
350.
quickly it's increased.
If we had 350 a square, we would put it into production. And the reason being is because now you're moving that client forward, and they feel like something is being done.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, we've got your roof on order. It's going to be dropped in 2 weeks. We'll do it once it's dropped. We'll put it on in the next day or two after that. Here's your checklist before we get here. You know, our production manager goes out, snaps pictures of the driveway, does a walk around, snaps pictures of anything that's broken, because that way, when they come back and say, "Hey, this is broken," well, it was broken before. You know, and these are all the photos that people don't think about taking that like can save you thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands.
Or being blamed for, I mean, it's going to save you money by, not being blamed for certain
the Google
things.
review.
Yep. Yeah,
Right.
and that's actually, it's wild you say that because, I didn't set any of that type stuff up when we started, and it took learning the hard way by being blamed for things that you didn't do, and you're like, nope, I remember seeing that during my inspection, and then you go into your company cam, shout out company cam, and
Hey,
you don't
Lincoln,
have a
Nebraska,
photo
baby.
in there. Do what?
They're based out of Lincoln.
Are they? Oh, that's pretty
Uh-huh.
cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, you go back into your company cam roll and you don't have that photo. And so you have no proof that you didn't actually damage that.
So now you're on the hook and you're writing a check, right?
Yep. Or you're not, and you're going to get slammed on the internet next door. All the internet's a gnarly thing, man.
There's a lot of keyboard warriors.
Man.
I know we were talking about that. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. You and your, what was your post this week? The haterade.
The haterade, man.
So
that was
like, but that's the thing that people need to understand is like, we have as a roofing contractor, you have a limited window for production. It is what it is, regardless of the claims that GAF or OC or Malarkey or Tamco make that you can install that down to 30 degrees. No one wants to be out there installing a roof when it's 32 degrees out, because one big windstorm and now all that roof's laying in the yard and you have to do it all over again, right? And so like our season's usually about March-ish to mid to late October.
okay.
And then after that, you'll see like the occasional warm day where they may have the shingles dropped, and like they'll get a day where it's like 60 degrees, and or there'll be a couple days where it's warm and they'll put a roof on. But going back to what your original question, saying, do I still believe that would be the process? If it was me, that would be the process I would use. As I would now, the big difference would be like if you have a roof deck, you have to redeck something. That would be an immediate like, whoa, because you don't want to leave your homeowner on the hook for $5K in sheeting, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or you having to eat 5K.
and you don't want to eat it either. And so, but if the homeowner's like, if we can't get it approved, it is what it is. I'll pay for it, or I'll finance it, or whatever. Then I would just keep moving. But if, roof deck, that would be like one of those things where I'd be like, whoa, stop. Like, we got to call the insurance company, see what they need, get a hold of someone over there to have that conversation, right? But other than that, like, I would do the production and get the roof on, especially once you have that minimum, because at your minimum, you're going to at least break even, if not make a little coin, right? Barring, you put the wrong roof on somebody's house like we talked about earlier.
Right.
But then once you go back into that post-production supplement process and you have all your documentation, you have all your photos, and you're sitting there and it's November and you're like, I got nothing going on. Like you have no income coming in as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like now you can start working on those post-production supplements.
Yep.
And that's going to create a revenue stream for you to help you weather those winter months as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it allows you to focus on your clients when it's during busy season, and then when it is a little bit slower, all right, now let me beat up the carrier a little bit more on some of these items. Like, I had a supplement approved yesterday from State Farm, and literally,
Congratulations, that's a tough one.
oh, dude, let me read you because I think even the audience will get an absolute kick out of this email back from State Farm. Let's see. So, she said, I didn't recognize the adjuster's name, but good afternoon, Paragon Roofing USA. State Farm has received your supplement estimate for named insured blank. Please review our final comparative estimate and advise if we are able to move forward. It was almost like she was asking us for permission on if it was good. And so I went in and she had approved not only roofing labor hours for debris cleanup and all of that, since those things are not included in the line item description for the removal, but obviously we got the comp shingles. She did go in and approve the hip and ridge, but cut from 3-tab, and that was the only line item that she denied. And I'm like, I'm not, or not really even denied, but put in wrong. But I'm like, I'm not fixing to go beat this carrier up to switch this one line item when what she's approved with O&P is at $760 a square. I'm not going to go in, but there's people out there that would 100% put their foot down and be like, this line item needs to be standard composition hip and ridge because that's what's pre-existing, knowing damn well there's probably a $200 difference there. Let me see what the...
Yeah, it's minimal at best.
I have 81 linear feet here. It might not even be $100.
Yeah.
You know,
so they'll step over that dollar that they just made to get to the dime that they're chasing, right?
Yep.
And so I tell people this all the time, and it's really frustrating to me because it's like, you guys stop looking at the line items. The line items don't matter. What is the price per square?
Huh?
So I had a friend of mine who's a fellow PA. Shout out to Sam Cook. Reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you take a look at this estimate? I'm really busy. I want to see if we can do a supplement on it." And it was a SimBuilty estimate. So like you instantly in this industry now, you instantly see the SimBuilty and you're like, "Oh, it must be less." Mm-hmm. Right? You don't even think about it. You just your preconceived notions have determined that SimBuilty line item must be less.
Yep.
So I dig into it. Well, I don't even have to dig into it. I look at the roof and say, okay, are the gutters included in the roofing line items? They are not. It's just roof line items. What's my square with waste? What's the total amount? And they gave him $700 a square. So I sent it back to him. I was like, "Bud, I mean, I can try and help you out, but like they're at almost $700 a square."
Yeah.
He goes, he's like, well, there's no reason to at that point. I was like, no. He's like, but the contractor told me that he barely made any money. And I personally know the contractor. Great guy. Would give you the shit off his back if you asked him. But the guy doesn't know his numbers. You know what I mean? He's one of those contractors. I see it. They're out there everywhere. I would argue 50% of the contractors that I interact with don't know their numbers. You know what I mean? And so that's when you get into the situations like that where you're like, well, if you knew your numbers, you just made, like, I know your numbers and I'm not even doing it. So here, you're going to pay, in my area, you're going to pay $125 a square for labor, and that's if you pay well.
Okay.
Right? I don't know what you guys are in Nashville. That's what we're at here. You know, you're probably at $125 a square for shingles and peripherals, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, right? So you're at $250 all in for your material, labor and materials.
Yep.
Maybe $300, maybe $350, depending on how cut up it is and valley metals and drip edges and all of those things, right? So you're at $350 a square. So how can you be at almost $700 a square and feel like you're not making any money? So, and that's what, I mean, you've heard me preach this since I was with Alina. Like, you have to know your numbers. You have to have someone that can job task for you and say, okay, so this is what we spent. Here's the invoice. Okay, we gave Manuel and Ricardo this much to install. Shout out to my favorite Guatemalans. They're local guys here. I love them.
I was wondering if those were real names or if you pulled them
Uh-huh.
out of your butt.
Yeah. Those are my dogs. They're my boys.
Heck yeah.
They do it all. They're building a garage right now, and after
Really?
they get done building the garage, they're going to go over and I have a fire loss that I'm helping a local contractor do job costing and insurance liaison work. State Farm actually did a solid on that one. They did
That's
really,
the
really
thing.
well.
It's adjuster specific with State Farm because the policies themselves are fine. State Farm writes perfect policies. They're great to me.
Yeah, I mean total
Coverage
loss
is there.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was so the roof has to be ripped off. All the trusses are going to get replaced. Interior was like water damage because firefighters in water. It's like watching a smut film. Um, like, dude, firefighters love two things. And shout out to all my firefighter friends. I have a ton of them. They love their axes and they love their water, and they love to use both of them.
Yeah.
And which is fine. They're doing God's work. But anytime you get into a fire, it's like it's not the fire damage is going to be like maybe 30, 40 grand, and then you'll have another $150,000 worth of water damage because of
Right.
But
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, all of the so on that fire loss, they're giving us $1,000 a square for the shingles.
Jeez.
Well, it's got overhead and profit and all of
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
It's like can't be mad about that.
Right. But
the whole estimate's good.
those line items that make up that $1,000 a square better be right. Or they you know what I mean? Because there's people who just go to town. I mean, at the end of the day, to your point, it's just the price per square that ultimately matters. I don't care what line items it takes, as long as we get to a point where we're covered. And I got sucked into that, a year or so ago, where maybe even 6 months ago, where I was almost like, I think it was last summer, but I was, one of those where this is the line items that should be used. I know Exactimate, like this is what they need to have, and then they have their own scope or whatever, and it would just drive me nuts because, like, no, just per bid, Paragon Roofing's estimate, and pay my bid. But that's just not how it works.
So a lot of contractors will get wrapped up in what the line item says, or overhead and profit for that matter. And to be fair, I don't care. It could say, we have a local company here that does lump sum pricing,
Okay.
and they're a little low. But like, if their lump sum was the right amount, say it came out to 625, 650, send it. I'm done. I'm moving on to the next one. Not even going to worry about it. Just going to move, because I'd rather have. Because I mean, here's the other thing too. In roofing organizations, who usually does the supplementing?
Somebody in the
most of
office
them.
or the rep usually.
The rep or the
Yeah.
owner, right?
Yeah, or the owner. Yeah.
Or they might be big enough where they have an on-staff supplementer, or they hire a supplement company like SFY or Balance or somebody like that.
Yeah.
But if you hire the Balance SFY, they'll pick the low-hanging fruit. They're not going to care whether it's cut from a 3-tab or high profile. They're not going to argue over the $20 or $80 or $100. They're going to be like, here, I got $2,300 back. We got everything that you already told us adjusted. Give me my 15% or whatever they charge, Or you're wrapped up as the owner in your office on hold with State Farm for 45 minutes because that's exactly what happens. You call State Farm, guaranteed 45. Or your rep is tied up with something that they have no experience doing because they, 6 months ago they were flipping steaks at Outback, and they heard that they could make a lot of money selling roofs, and they may be coming in and crushing it. Like I know a kid here in Lincoln, came in his first year, small town Nebraska, town of like 400 people, stumbles onto the guy that owns the town. 30
That's
properties.
what's up. What do
Knocked
you?
the door down. 30 properties. Almost $750,000 worth of roofing in
Good
this
for
little itty
him.
bitty small town. Crushed
Good
it, right?
for
Crushed it.
him.
And then, like,
And
it's
nothing
fantastic.
will, yeah, nothing will train him more for the rest of his life than being able to go through that. You
Yep.
know, having those dumped in his lap, and all right, now we get to figure it out. And then, once you understand, how the process should flow, now you can begin to refine that to become better and become more advanced, and then eventually to being an expert. But you've got to get around people that are above where you are and that you want to go to, and continue to go. Like, I mean, Dan Martell talks about you need to have somebody that is just above where you want to go, and then somebody, or somebody that's just above where you're currently at, and then the person that is where you want to be. So maybe it's a guy worth 100 million. That's who you look to for inspiration. But then the guy that's doing 10 million when you're a $2 million guy, like, that's the one that you're having most of your conversations with, because you got to get to that 10 mil, and then you look for the guy that's at 20, 30. You know what I mean? You just keep working up if that's what you want to do.
Sorry, I had my phone beeping in.
Oh, that's always a pain. Always a pain.
But no, so I know a lot about this whole process. And let me tell you what, working for Alina and having my fingers in, and this is a shout out to her and her team.
I'm glad you're in a good place also.
Yeah, they're good people. They have good hearts. Right?
Very good people. Oh.
Yeah, but the amount of knowledge that I gained in that year probably took me 15 years before that to match.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you have exposure. I have exposure to people like Taylor. I probably talked to 70 or 80 roofing contractors.
Yeah, I bet you met a lot of good people.
I met a lot, and they all had different processes. They all had different procedures. And
they all work, or most of them.
Yeah, they're all doing their thing. They're generating an income source, and they're doing their thing. The beauty of that is that when you have an outside perspective, now I can look at it and go, let me come up with a better process, or the ideal process, the one that is like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Right? Now, will it always work? Well, you still have to put the hustle in, right? And you still have to, there's a little luck involved too. But all that being said, going back to your original point about trying to find that person that's right above you and moving up.
Yeah,
I still do that. Like, I know a ton about the insurance restoration claims industry, a ton. And there's still, like, I have a guy in Des Moines. He's been in the business for 41 years. So when I have a question, I call him. Shout out.
That's what I was gonna say. Who does Josiah?
I reach out to him.
Look up to. Okay.
Yeah, he's been in the he owned a brokerage for 24 years. Then he was going to do independent adjusting, and him and his wife were going to travel around the country and do independent adjusting. To be perfectly fair, my wife and I had thought about doing the same back when the kids were little.
I don't hate the idea of it. I love when I see a husband and wife adjuster duo.
She would have wrote the scopes. I would have done the inspections, and away we go.
Yep. Because you get to go see the country, especially if you want to be a cat adjuster, But you better be ready to work 80, 90 hours a week when you get deployed. Go ahead and put in the work. Just do 7/12s.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, too. You do that, back then, you're making $120,000, $130,000 in a month.
Jeez.
Those guys make bank. Now it's not like that. We'll pay you $35 an hour as a 1099. So that means you're making like 25. And so
then they wonder why these files are just handled like ass.
And then you wonder why the guy doesn't want to get on the roof, or
right, or doesn't know what damage looks like.
So So he's like, at that point, the industry had started trending that way, and he's like, we didn't want to do that. So he became a public adjuster. In 2014, he became a public adjuster in 2014. Has been doing it ever since. And I'll tell you, when I get on a call with him, it's never 5 minutes. We sit and talk for hours, like an hour, hour and a half. Last call I had with him a few days ago was an hour. And so him and I've named him an appraiser on a claim of mine. Damaged by a tornado, open and shut case, like shouldn't even be a question. The optics, if it got out, would look even worse based on what the building actually does. And of course I can't say anything because of confidentiality reasons. But the insurance company was like making us jump through hoops to go into appraisal. Like wanted us to sign off on a letter, and we disagreed with the language in the letter, and so there's a lot of back and forth. All which is doing what they intend, and that's still laying the claim, right?
Yeah.
And so I call Brent. I'm frustrated, and we're talking about it, and he's familiar with it because he's the named appraiser on it. And I said, Brent, I just don't know what to do with this. And I always know when he's going to drop something on me because he'll go, Josiah. Seriously, he does it every time. He'll go, Josiah, does it matter? Does it matter if we have water intrusion on this paper? Because isn't that the direct result of the wind? And aren't we doing an appraisal for hail and wind damage? So does it matter? I go, fuck no. God damn it. And he's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, stop getting so wrapped up with being right.
Yep.
And push it forward and let the people the experts that you surround yourself with,
yep,
help you.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing,
that was
too.
The moral of the story, right? Was like,
yeah, you hit the
it's
nail
kind
on
of like
the head.
the guy that gets mad because he doesn't get overhead and profit on his roof only claim. It's like, but you made $700 a square,
right?
What does it matter if you don't get the O and P? What matters is that you made a 40 to 50% margin, if not more, and you're moving on to the next one, knocking the next door, chasing the next lead. That's what's more important for your reps and your salesmen to do, right? Well, so okay, so tell me your thoughts. So we talked kind of circling back to the post-production supplementing process, right? And we had talked about that. What are your thoughts on doing that? And would that be something that you would be interested in implementing if you haven't? Is that something that there's a training resource that needs to be made for that? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so ultimately what I kind of like to do, I'll even back it up a little bit more and kind of give the audience kind of how my process will flow and stuff, and then into the supplement process. But when I receive a scope of work, or technically when I do an inspection and I find that, hey, it's going to make sense to get your insurance involved, I don't want to get the claim filed that day. I need to put documents together. We need to help the homeowner prove the loss so that we have a loss packet that we can submit when the claim gets filed. That way, we're not just calling the insurance company and saying, hey, I'm sitting here with Mr. and Miss Jones. I just did a roof inspection for them. They've got some storm damage, and they wanted to get a claim going. So I'm going to answer any questions about the damage, and they're going to answer any questions about the policy. And then I'm going to fill out my contingency agreement and hand it to them and have them sign it. Because, these insurance companies are obviously cracking down, as you know. So they're only required to investigate whatever you claim. So if you have your homeowners call in and claim, we have hail damage, we have storm damage, that's way too vague for me, because I want to have it based off of, hey, on 5/8/2025, our house was impacted with 1 1/4 inch hail that impacted the shingle, dislodging granules, cracking the shingle mat, causing functional damage that's drastically shortened the life of my roof. It's impacted and damaged my gutter system, my window screens, my fascia wraps, whatever, on the front and right elevation that all need to be repaired. Like, all of that needs to be outlined and explained, because now the insurance company has a duty to investigate that. And then once I do get the scope of work, I want to go through and review it for accuracy. And my first thought is, have they addressed all of the damaged property? And if the answer is yes, then have they estimated it properly? Have they taken into account building codes properly? And then I want to go through, and ideally, to get into your question, I ideally want to handle everything on the front end as I possibly can to get everything squared away. But then to your point of actually what we were talking about before this, was that minimum number is, once I start to break through $500 a square, that job gets pushed into production. And then when production goes through, I'm still doing some back and forth with the carrier on some miscellaneous line items. But once it gets to production and they take over, now they're tasked with getting it built and documenting the repairs. And I slangily use repairs even on full replacement, just when construction is starting. And then I want him to go through, and Sergio, I want him to go through and get me before, during, and after on everything that we do. So by before, during, and after on everything we do, I mean when your technician is getting ready to open up that sidewall to reflash it, before, during, after. When that apron flashing, or when that cement fiber board is going to be removed or broken out of place, before, during, after. When you're getting, ready to reflash a chimney and build a cricket, before, during, after. Because I want to literally see everything that it took, so that I have photos that now justify all of the line items that are going to be on the final invoice. And then if anything comes up during production, he will notify me. I'll send an email to the carrier along with a signed authorization from the homeowner saying that, hey, this additional work was required to be done because we uncovered additional damages. The homeowner has given us permission to move forward because we have the roof opened up. And here's what the cost, or we're going to add it to the final invoice, whatever, and keep it moving. But then when the job gets completed and we do our final walk around, I want to go through and balance out my Xactimate based on everything that was actually done and true counts on everything, because the waste factor and other things like that are cool. They give you good guidance, but they're not the end all be all. I want to know, if I ordered 48 squares and I have 3 squares left, then that roof was 45 squares, because I know that my installers know what they're doing and they're not throwing things away and being careless. But I do still occasionally have to overcome the objection from an adjuster of like, well, we don't owe you for that because your guys must have been sloppy or used too much waste or anything like that. Like, it is what it is on what I spent. But, to answer your question, I really like to get everything on the front end before we start swinging hammers as I can. But, once I have a full approval on the roof, then majority of like your flashing items and things like that are going to be a PWI anyways, and then they want to see that they're actually done. And so, we'll even go through, and let me find this picture, because I was really happy with Sergio yesterday. He was on a job that we had going on, and I mean, we want to get good photos of all of the flashing when it's pulled out from the wall to show that how damaged it is. And I want to obviously measure it as well. So we'll take that old flashing and get
and it's got a hole right there in the middle of it. That cannot,
correct.
per code, that cannot be reused.
Yeah, and then I like to lay the old flashing on the new flashing to show how different it is in size. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you saw all the comments that with the hate that I was getting on that front wall video, because there was cement fiber, some of the old like beadboard hardy, and there was that type of cement fiber and then some apron flashing, and I was getting shredded. But dude, let me see. I'm trying to remember what that client's name was, because I want to show you how bad this flashing was. And then I had guys like, that flashing's just fine. It's never going to leak. It's not this. I'm like, y'all sure do justify violating building codes and deviating from the manufacturer's requirements. Like, y'all do a pretty good job at not doing what you're supposed to do.
So just so you're aware, I just pulled this up. You have 797 likes on it, 122 comments, and 41 shares on that video.
Does it have views on there?
What's that?
Does it show you how many views it has?
I'm looking to see how many views it has. I can't see that. It's probably on your side. You can see it.
Let me go look and see. It's had a bunch. But yeah, I mean, it just blows my mind how many people will lose their mind over the fact that some of
damn Karen chill. That metal will last another 50 years and never leak.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe.
No, the flashing can last for several roofs. Nobody just replaces the flashing every single time. Get real.
You know what I mean? I do, because it's got holes in it. The building code book tells me if it's rusted, damaged, or deteriorated. Now, I don't know about you, but when I bought this, it didn't have a hole in it. And so it's got 189,000 views.
I wonder what the benchmark for viral is. That's got to be close.
I would imagine. Let's Google and figure out what considers something. But
that's the
video.
thing. Okay, so I have questions about your process. So
yeah,
and I totally just spaced it. I had one that was about right at the beginning. So when you're going through that, and because it you want to try and get as much stuff. This is what I was going to tell. So I'm going to edit that part out because. So going back to like the start of your process,
yes,
I love how you put all of the facts in place before they call, and the reason being is that I know for a certainty that I am aware of a claim. Sorry, I'm tiptoeing around confidentiality here, right? That
smart.
What's that?
I said smart.
That they've had two engineers out. Well, no, one engineer, one meteorologist, both claiming that the date of loss is prior to the policy period being effective.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So the policy period, like they had not purchased the policy yet. They purchased the policy, and then within a few months, they have a significant hailstorm.
Okay.
I know for a fact that hailstorm caused damage because I did a significant roof within a mile from that same storm date. Not me personally, but like I was the PA on the file, and they are like adamantly denying this claim to the point where it's in litigation. And it's one of our two favorite engineering companies. One starts with a D and one starts with an R.
Yeah.
And it's so important now with any type of property claim, that the facts are clear and concise, and it's not you know what, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I inspected the roof, it has hail damage. Let's get on the phone with your insurance company right now and file a claim. No. Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do that.
100%.
No. What you need to say is, you know what, we found some damage to your roof. Let me go back and do some further investigation, figure out what the data loss is. And I know most roofers want to have one shot, one kill, right? Like that's their ideal goal. I don't think it's possible in the current environment to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I just don't think it is because just for the simple fact that, like,
I don't think it's smart to do.
It's not.
I think you can get away with it on a handful of files, but you are going to cause somebody to be denied or something. But there's so many of these contractors out there that they don't care. That's just one. That's just one. But that's still a person that now has this blemish on their claim history.
Yep.
Because you wanted to try and see if it would get approved.
And then what they do is when it doesn't get approved, they're like, oh, we're going to send it to appraisal, or we're going to send it to a PA, and then we're going to get mad at the appraiser or the PA when they can't unfuck the fucked claim.
It's not a claim. Yep.
Regardless of if there's damage or not, you didn't properly prepare the file, right? And so, like, if you're listening to this podcast, all like 10 of you, and you hear what we're saying, like what I'm saying is that the process has to change. Within, talking to my buddy Brent, right? We just had this conversation a few days ago, and he said, yet again, Josiah, 5 years ago, this whole game changed.
Yep.
It's the worst it's ever been.
And it's going to get a little worse before it gets better.
We're going to have to hit a threshold. And you're going to see the other industries start pushing back against the insurance companies because of the detriment that they're going to have. But it's going to take a few years.
I agree. What I think people should understand, though, and they should educate themselves if they're going to be in this field for any amount of time, that insurance goes through cycles. If you read Delay, Deny, Defend, you find out since insurance inception, there's cycles where the carriers are paying better than other times. And so we're just seeing one of those cycles right now.
We're on the downtrend. I don't think we've hit bottom yet. We're just still on the downtrend.
Going down, there's going to be big changes. There's going to be, we've got more lobbyists. Back in the day, and this is kind of an unpopular opinion that I have, but, back in the day, financial advisors used to be able to solicit business by going door to door, and now it is illegal, at least in the state of Tennessee. And so it would not surprise me if these insurance companies are able to get door knocking banned for being able to go door to door and, quote unquote, solicit business. Or, contractors shouldn't be enticing anybody to file a claim anyways. That's illegal. But, they can say things like, hey, Mr. Customer, that you've got a lot of hail damage. And if this were my house, I would definitely get the insurance company involved. But to your point, I even tell my clients, hey, Mr. Customer, in the event that I find enough damage today that it makes sense for you to get a claim going, we're not filing that claim today. So don't worry about that. You can rest assured we're not going to be getting the claim initiated today because you need to have all of your documents together proving this loss. The insurance company was not here when the storm occurred. Do you happen to have any photos or videos when this came through? You do? Wonderful. Go ahead and send me those. I'm going to add those to your file. But I need to put together not only a photo report showing them the damaged property, but the weather data that substantiates that. And also any sort of technical documents that go along with it. I need to pull a code report. What type of codes are enforced out here? What are the, estimates for the damaged property? And I normally tell the homeowner, like, hey, I'm going to start some preliminary estimates as we go through, and I'll show you those and things like that. But we want to at least begin to write the estimates. And then that way it segues us into those additional adjuster meetings much better. And also, you continue to separate yourself from the competitors in your market, because you already know that so many people are going to be like, hey, Mr. Homeowner, if you've got enough damage, we'll go ahead and call your insurance company together, and I've got a little piece of paper you can sign hiring me as your contractor, and they just go on to the next door,
Yep.
but they're not providing anything. They're just hoping that the insurance company will go through and approve everything and write them an estimate. But what they don't realize, and it's one of the processes that we've recently changed, is that we want to get an estimate in the homeowner's hands as soon as possible. Ideally, even maybe right after the claim gets filed, definitely before the adjuster gets a chance to write their estimate. Because that way, my homeowner sees, all right, this has got my damaged roofing, my damaged gutters, and it's sitting at $30,000. And now the adjuster's estimate comes in at 15. Now, the homeowner can receive that as the insurance company is low 15 grand, and not when it happens the other way and they get a $15,000 scope from the carrier, and then I rewrite mine and it's at 30, and then the adjuster starts all of there. You've got a greedy contractor type back and forth vibes with the homeowner that could have all been avoided if you had just gotten some numbers together on the front end. But contractors are scared to do it because they're afraid to show the homeowner a number that's lower than what the insurance company even pays.
It's controlling the narrative. So what you're doing with that process specifically is that you're saying, here, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, regardless of what the insurance company says, this is the price that we've put on the damages to your house, whether that be your gutters, your fascia, your roof, whatever the case may be. Now, then when the insurance company's estimate comes in, they see it and they're like, why are they so low? And then you have the conversation, oh, well, they missed the gutters here, they missed these line items here, because you already have it, they already have it in their hands.
Correct. And their first thought is the insurance company does not have enough money here to cover my claim.
Not on the, and so I love that. I love that process change, because one of the biggest problems that I see working with the contractors that I work with is they don't control the narrative. They let the insurance company control the narrative.
And react.
Yeah, and then they react to the insurance company. Yep. So it's just like, I know I've said this once already today, but it's really hard to unfuck a fucked claim. So by the time it gets to me, if the contractor's already fucked it up, I mean, sorry for the language.
I love it.
It's like the odds that I can get that claim unfucked go down substantially, 90% probably.
We need a new adjuster for sure.
Yeah, and that's if you can get them to change the adjuster.
We really need to start back over, ideally, But now all of a sudden, that homeowner not only needs to get involved, but needs to ultimately be completely re-educated. Because any contractors that are guiding their homeowners through the insurance process, their homeowner should be leading the helm of that conversation.
They're the tip of the spear.
Correct.
They're like if you want to put it into armed services terminology, they're the advanced Marine battalion. And that's how you need to use them. You need to utilize them. You need to educate them and say, hey, so in your case, this is my estimate. This is their estimate that they got 3 days after mine, if not more than that, 2 weeks after mine, if they're lucky. That's $15,000 difference. This is why. And then you break it out for them. You say, you need to reach out to your adjuster, not the contractor, the homeowner needs to reach out to the adjuster and say, hey, my contractor's estimate's $30,000. I got it like 2 weeks ago. Yep. Why is yours only $15,000? He's got these line items in. He's shown me pictures of these line items, so I know that they exist.
Yep.
What's the dealio?
Right. And I think they can even take it a little step further and take both of those estimates and create a line item differences document that you can then go through, and the homeowner can have that same conversation. Hey, Mr. Insurance, these line items were apparently, I always like to use the word inadvertently omitted from the estimate, because I know you wouldn't
Means
have
you
done
guys
that on
fucked up.
purpose. Yeah,
You
I know
accidentally
you
fucked
wouldn't have
up,
done
and
it
we
on purpose. Yeah,
random
because
side story.
surely you wouldn't be manipulating the estimate to intentionally pay lower, right? I know you're not doing that. I know that these items were just missed. So, but I asked my contractor if he could also at least justify why those items were there. And so he's attached the differences report and some supporting documentation on there. And if there's any particular line items that you don't feel are reasonable to the project, then just, can you explain that to me? And then if there's any that are actually omitted from coverage, can you just provide me that excerpt so that I know why I'm responsible for that? But, I'll follow up in a week or two, but that should be enough time for you to review all this and make some of the changes so I can proceed with the project.
So,
You
so
know?
that mentality makes me laugh because I have a story about it, completely unrelated. So I coach a lot of baseball. I've coached a lot of baseball for years. I just got done coaching my son's 14U team, but I didn't coach last year. I took the year off, and one of his coaches went out of town right during the end of year tournament, which is a big deal. And
Okay.
so his coach reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help coach the boys?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." And so we had this umpire, and the other coach is an attorney. So there's me and this other coach who's an attorney, and the umpire made a couple of bad calls in one of the innings against us. And I have never seen a more calm dressing down of someone than what happened right after this. He walks up to the umpire, and I start walking toward the umpire because, like, I'm the type of guy that when I have a discussion with the umpire, it's under my breath and it's in between innings. Hey, what'd you see on this? Like what was your thought process? Just to understand, so I can tell my boys, like, this is how it's going to be, right? So this attorney walks up to the umpire, and I'm just within earshot, and he looks at the umpire and he goes, "Hey, we both know you screwed up twice. You're better than that. Don't do it again." And he walked off. That was it. That was all that was said. There, no emotion, just like matter of fact. And
Yep.
I turned
Here's the
around,
fact.
and I barely made it back to the dugout before I had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard because the umpire was just like, because they're used to getting yelled at, and it's not dissimilar to adjusters, right? So with the approach that you're using, hey, I think you might have inadvertently left these off. Here's photos of them. This is the reason that we have to have them. Like, please let me know. Like, if there's anything else, I'm going to follow back up in a couple days, a week, 10 days, whatever your process is. Is perfect, because what they're going to do is they're going to look at it and go, man, I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, or I'm going to give this homeowner the benefit of the doubt
More often than not.
because they're being
Yeah.
kind.
Yep.
I mean, and
Yep.
I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but I have three things that I say about adjusters coming from a recovering adjuster. First is they're overworked. Like, this is what people on our side of the fence need to understand. I talked to an adjuster last week. Okay, mind you, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit on these 3 points. Mind you, this adjuster last week, I called her. She was the backup for my adjuster, and it's a PA file of mine. It's a dear friend of mine had a fire, $1 million house. Adjuster gave her like 120,000. My estimate was closer to 415. And so I was following up with the adjuster, and the adjuster was on vacation. And so I followed up with his backup just to say, hey, can we have like a manager take a look at this? Like, we're kind of getting close to timelines and whatnot. And the adjuster literally on the phone, just exasperated. She goes, I don't have enough time to work my own files. There's no way I'm going to be able to work on his.
Yep.
And so, so that's the first point. Did you need something, babe? No.
He was still asleep.
Thoughts and prayers?
T's and P's, baby.
T's and P's. Taylor says T's and P's from him as well.
T's and P's for me.
She's like, I'm gonna need a drink after this.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, that'll be later this evening.
Maybe in Europe.
Maybe it might be the UK. But then, like, jumping back in, the second point that I always say is that so they're overworked, they're underpaid. First job I had as a claims adjuster, I made $32,000 a year.
Baller.
I know, right? Like, barely above minimum wage at the time, just barely above the poverty line, and I handled 1,400 claims for that company that year.
Jeez.
Right? So
what was your average claim value?
Somewhere between, probably at the time, probably somewhere between 15 and 20.
Okay.
Because you'd have
residential claims.
Well, you'd have the less than deductible claims, right? Where like water claim where it just damaged a little bit of carpet. But at that year, I don't think I got into the fire losses, but toward the latter part of my tenure there, I was getting $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 claims too, mixed in with all of that.
Yep.
So that job, I wouldn't like. If you called me in the morning, voicemail.
Were you a supplementer or estimator? Or?
I was an actual adjuster. I was a desk adjuster at the time.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, but I was so busy that I would literally have to schedule my phone calls between 1 and 3 in the afternoon. Like, I could not be on the phone between 1. If it was outside of 1 and 3, I was not on the phone because I had so much paperwork I had to do. The last thing that I say, so we have overworked, underpaid, undertrained. That one's on purpose. Once you realize that,
liability.
Well, once you realize that, then all of the rest of it makes sense. That's why they have the claims handling guidelines. Funny story about that. Liberty Mutual, I was arguing with them about a supplement, and they're like, well, it's against our claims handling guidelines. And I said, it's unfortunate your claims handling guidelines are wrong. And so,
right.
I mean, and when I worked for Liberty Mutual from 2014 to 2018.
That's right.
And I remember they would fly us up to Massachusetts, and we would go into this big storage warehouse, and they had built a house in this storage warehouse.
Okay.
And so what they did was they would build it, and then they would cut away spots, put up plexiglass so you could see all the components. I don't know if they still do that, but they need to go back to it if they do.
Neat.
Oh, it was fantastic training.
Yeah.
But it was like, so they did, listen to this, they did policy training for 1 week, and then they did construction training for 1 week. Tell me what's wrong with that. Do you think you can learn everything about construction on a residential property in 1 week?
No. Probably takes you years.
Like, so that's great. Like, that's something, but like, what they needed to do is after that week, if you were still there in 90 days, all right, we're flying you back out for another week, right? We're going to dive deeper. I don't need any more policy training. The policy, if you have any experience, the policy is the same freaking policy it has been. I mean, what people don't understand is the main core of the policy hasn't significantly changed since 2002.
And they're all just pretty much based off of standard ISO forms, right?
Yes. Yep. 95% of the policies.
Some kind of derivative of.
Yeah. Are ISO forms. Very rarely will you get a manuscript policy. Now, the endorsements have changed, right? When I first started, there'd be like 2 or 3 endorsements on a policy. Now there's like 15 to 20.
Yes.
So that's where you get in the sticky wickets. The main core of your policy stays the same, as long as it's most of the ones that you're going to see is an HO2, which is your basic form, which is named peril. That means that it has to be named in the policy to be covered, or your HO3, which is your special forms. That means that it has to specifically be excluded to not be covered. See what the difference there is? I mean, you get this. Like, we've talked about this before. But like for everybody out there,
it's good info.
But those are the 2 forms that you're going to see, and if you don't understand, I have a hard time. I know Chris Zimmerman got in trouble in the Mastercraft Facebook group. Did you see this? He posted, "Stop claiming that you're an insurance claim specialist," and it was the haterade all came out.
Yep.
So,
But
it's kind
not
of the
wrong.
it's kind of the same thing. Like when someone claims to be an insurance claim specialist, it makes me cringe. It's like, dude, like, okay, and some of their reps may have like been there for a long time, but like, there's other reps that are going to be like 3 months in. Like, you're not a specialist at that point. You're just a baby.
Right.
Like, I mean, you may have someone in your company that's been
Still
doing it for
wet
years.
back here.
Oh yeah, right. But like, just if you don't like, I guess the take home message for the tens of people that are going to watch this, if you don't know something, don't fuck it up. Ask someone. Reach out to Taylor. Taylor's happy to talk. I'm happy to talk about it. Like, find a mentor that's been doing this for a long time. There's a lot of, I call them Facebook famous people in this industry that are more than happy to spend 20 minutes with you and talk through an issue. You just have to find your person, right? So, anyways.
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of went on a little bit of a rant there, didn't I?
No, man, I think it's great. And then I know that, before we go, I know that you've got some training that you're working on. I've got some training that I'm actually working on that is for internal stuff, but we're going to make it available to everybody else as well. And so I'm pretty excited about that because, I do get a lot of people that'll hit me up to pick my brain on how I'll work through different things, and even down to, templates, process flows, all of those things I want to get out there to the masses. So all that's coming. And
Are you
so
going to do that all through BEI?
We're going to do some stuff with BEI, some stuff we are going to launch out on our own.
A separate portal.
So there's a few things that BEI doesn't really care to get involved in, and so we're going to do some stuff together, and then I'll do some stuff on my own as well. So
there's another good resource. Have you ever met Lisa Cimaroli?
I don't believe so.
She's got the Roof Rider Academy that's got some resources like that too that you might want to check out.
Is that rider like WRITER, like you're riding something?
RIDER, just like you're riding a horse.
Okay, Roof Rider Academy.
Yep. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk to you about, and do you have a heart out? Do you need to go?
Semi, but like probably in the next 10, 15 minutes, something. I'm not like
So tell me about what's happening with Bama football and Kalen DeBeer.
So,
by the way, I am infatuated with Kalen DeBeer. By the way, I wanted
in a good way.
What's that?
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah. No, absolutely. I thought he was.
Yeah, did he have some ties back to your program?
So he was from South Dakota.
Okay.
So that's close.
Okay.
But I don't know if he went to was a grad assistant at UNL or something like that. He has some sort of tie to Nebraska, and I thought for sure that. I mean, we hired Rule, but I thought Kalen was right. He must have been right in that mix because there's too many rumors going on. So then as a Nebraska fan, I dug into him and I'm like, this guy's legit.
Yeah, I'm still excited to have him. I haven't followed much Bama stuff so far this year, but I know recruiting's been good, and so I just, as every summer, I cannot wait for college football to start. And I know that, a lot of the SEC schools are supposed to be pretty good. Some of the, Big Ten guys are supposed to be pretty good this year. And so, I definitely plan to spend a little more time this fall enjoying some football because, for some of the folks that are out there watching, like my first couple of years in business, I'm 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, just always working on something inside of the company. And, it burned me out. And so you have to find some sort of hobby or other activities to where you're not consuming all of your time and energy into your business and into roofing. And so that's going to be my thing this fall is I want to, watch some more sports and, be able to turn my brain off to roofing a little bit more this fall. And then obviously pour into our training systems and things like that. But yeah, I can't wait for football season. Are y'all going to be good this year?
So cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
So, well, we lost a lot last year, but we gained a lot too. We got a Bama transfer offensive guard,
Okay.
Pritchett. He came up to Nebraska. Dylan's going to have another year. Our quarterback, I think our quarterback could do something cool. I don't know if it'll be this year or next. Like it'll start being next year. I think if he continues to develop, we had Dana Holgerson. Remember him from West Virginia, and he was at SMU. Came up.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's from the Mike Leach coaching tree, air raid offense. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates to Nebraska football since we've always been the running dominant school. But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll be better than last year, but I'm not sure how much. But it's just you're going to start seeing with the changing of the college football landscape now. You're going to start seeing, a 10-3 national champion. Like that's definitely in the realm of possibilities now. I mean, you'll still have the undefeated every once in a while, I think, but it's not going to be like it was when Bama was going, 36-0 for 3 years and winning the Natty 3 years in a row. I think those days have kind of stopped. But we'll see. We'll see. I think the SEC and the Big Ten will be the best two conferences again this year. But
yeah, I think that's going to pretty much be the standard for a while.
It's going to be hard when you have Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois is supposed to be really good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's 8 teams right there that are going to be
Well,
up
don't
there.
don't we have a 16 team playoff this year too?
I think it's 12 again I think it's 12 this year again. But they changed the way that they're doing the seeding. So last year they did conference champions, got the top 4 seeds, which is why Oregon ended up playing Ohio State and Penn State played what was it? Boise State, and who else was it? It wasn't Arizona State. It was somebody else. Like teams that should have been like lower seeded, and Penn State got to run through them relatively. It might have been SMU or one of those teams. Yeah, it's just. But so now the seeding's gonna be based off of who they are and not what conference they won. So it'll be interesting to see the difference.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll all continue to be a good time, and as long as we have some good competitive games this year, I'm fine with it.
Dude, you'll have to check out the schedule. I think it's September 3rd, and it's
Okay.
like Texas versus Ohio State. Who plays in the afternoon?
Well, I think I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
there's like
that
4 like
post that's been going around on Facebook.
yeah.
That, like
UCLA plays
LSU,
Utah at 11.
Yeah, it said cancel all my plans
Yep.
for that day. Yeah. That's
So-
gonna definitely end up being a football day.
Yeah, that's
So
gets colder. Start having cheesy dip and soup and chili.
yeah, chili.
I don't know. I love the summer, but man, there's just something about coming into fall. I think fall's probably my season.
Yeah, I'm a
season.
big fall guy. Fall's probably my favorite season for sure.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
well,
man,
I had a ball. We need to try and do something again one day.
Yes.
And obviously, whenever you are in Nashville, we've got to get together.
Yeah, that's probably sooner rather than later. I'm trying to figure out why none of these conferences, like RoofCon, Win the Storm, all of SVG, like all of these, why no one's done a conference in Nashville.
I know that RoofCon wanted to, but was having trouble getting the Music City Center, I guess. But I want to say that they're going to end up doing a RoofCon in Nashville in the next couple of years. But don't quote me on that. But I believe that they're going to try to. It's a great place to do stuff, but and I know with BEI's new facility. I mean, this is kind of one of their training rooms in here, and then there's some more access upstairs.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine that they're going to start trying to host some more stuff. And so we should even put our heads together about, trying to host something and, see if we can continue to do our part to help the industry, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I'm always open for the conversation. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can make something work for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. Like, for the people that are just tuning in or just caught the last half or whatever, I'm with Taylor Ammons from Paragon Roofing. He's the owner operator. Taylor's been a good friend of mine for a few years now. Whenever I need a pick me up, I always call Taylor because he's always got positive message. We always have a great conversation. And I really appreciate you taking the time out. I think we've been on for hour and a half, almost an hour and a half, which it felt like 20 minutes, it seems like. So tell Sergio hello for me. Give your wife all of my love, and I look forward to doing this again in the not so distant future.
Right, yeah, no doubt, man. I really appreciate you, and my DMs are always open, and ultimately, man, I shoot to help people level up and be better, and I want to pour into others, and I want to be a positive, beacon of hope to those. I'd struggled with alcohol in the past, so I mean, if there's anybody out there struggling with things, hit me up. I mean, let's chat because life can be beautiful. Let's go out here and treat people right and have a good time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely, Josiah. I'll holler at you, man.
All right. Thanks, Taylor.
See you, buddy.
Yep, see you.